morning, good afternoon to our audience. Today, my guest is Marcus. He is COO of First Green North America. Pleasure to have you here with me. Thank you for hopping on the call. Please introduce yourself and your business. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
All right, thanks so much for having us. Be able to present First Green Industries to your audience. We are the world's first and only viable all-electric skid steer manufacturer. We also make loaders. I'm the COO of First Green US. The company's almost 9 years old at the moment, and in the US, we've been here about 3.5, 4 years. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Of course. No, yes, thank you. First Green US. And what other regions are you operating? Is it just the US? Where are you guys operating currently?
Oh, great question. We started in Europe. That's where we were primarily, but now we are as well in Africa, mining sectors in Africa, also mining in South America or in Canada. We are a worldwide company. We work through dealerships, so we've got dealerships worldwide.
Tell me a little bit about the passion of the business. Where does this inspiration come from? What are we trying to achieve here at First Green?
We are trying to achieve cleaner, safer work environment. We believe in battery technology. As everyone knows, there's billions of dollars going into battery technology every year. It keeps getting better and better. There is a natural match between diesel and electric, and it just depends on what the project is, what the job is, and what your best tool is for that job. Just as people were plugging in their high impact wrenches or drills into air or electric, 15 years ago. Today, they'll take out battery powered torque wrench to do the same exact work. Sometimes you might need to plug in a hammer drill to, get through concrete, right? So you need both tools still, but a lot of work is shifted to battery. And that's how we see much of the heavy equipment world going as well.
So is diesel not, is it like more of like a backup just in case if the battery runs out, or there's different functions that require the diesel, like more intense drilling, you're saying?
We don't produce diesel equipment. We're just saying there's a place for all equipment.
Yeah, of
Yep.
course. Your
Um,
equipment is fully electric.
Fully electric.
And a lot of people still assume that electric cannot match diesel in these heavy industries. What are you seeing in real use cases here?
There's going to be places for both. We're entering many more environments than we had even anticipated in the past. For instance, our equipment does not need any airflow. And when you remove that necessity for filtering and airflow, once you remove that, you can envision our lineup dominating in dusty and dirty jobs. It just performs better. It removes the extra maintenance requirements of traditional machines. And that's just one area we're expanding into. Naturally, we work indoors. We make job sites quieter, so operators they can communicate easier, as well as many other advantages, other job sites. And our users are very innovative, and therefore we continue to find more and more jobs that electric can do equally or better than diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were speaking earlier, we were saying about how safety is a big priority. So on the ground, could you tell me a little bit about how you are keeping people out of high risk environments?
Yeah, so we have a few innovative abilities with our equipment. One is all our equipment can be controlled by a remote control. And so that's the ability of any of our equipment. So you could be in a cab, feel like you're in an unsafe environment, maybe on a hill that you're just not comfortable with, jump out, use the remote control, get to a safe place, and do the work that way. Jump back in the cab. Maybe you're in a high risk environment where it's dangerous for trees to be falling. You can use the remote control for that. And recently, we've expanded into teleoperation. And teleoperation is our next natural step in our development phase. Our machines, they were developed from the ground up to be all electric. So we didn't take an existing chassis and retrofit it. We started with brand new ideas, developed the technology around it to support the harsh environments that heavy equipment has to withstand. Our machines can already, like I said, be remote control. So if they can be remote control, you can envision that's just a signal, right? And therefore, the next step is teleoperation. So we want to keep people safe, and teleoperation in a mining sector or other environments where people can be really hurt or even worse. I mean, that's our key driver, right? There's other factors for teleoperations such as cost savings and other return on investment. But really, when you think about the operators' lives. That's where teleoperation could really help save lives. It's not always easy with teleoperation because you need to have a strong network for the machines, but there's been recent innovations that also have helped us to achieve better strength in those networks.
We can dive into how it saved lives a little bit in a bit. However, I'm curious. When I first hear this, I would imagine that teleoperations would be more expensive than physical labor. What return of investment can one of your clients see from utilizing a teleoperation?
Absolutely, great question. There's absolutely a cost factor. The biggest question is what is the cost factor of a life? So I think
Yes.
when you match that, you can definitely see that teleoperation is an advantage. Now, probably like you're saying, there's certainly not every job is going to need that kind of system. We think it's going to be a limited expansion of teleoperation for certain environments, but labor is still very important. It's always going to be an important part of the heavy equipment industry, construction, mining, whatever it might be. So it's a great question, though. There's got to be a return on investment. And of course, that might come in, unfortunately, insurance costs that they might have either reduced or not having to pay out for mistakes. And then, of course, battery equipment has a great return on investment naturally anyway.
Absolutely, and that's something that we're seeing too in the mining industry. There's so much room for either downtime or risk. You go a day of unplanned downtime could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's just not even speaking about if someone loses their lives. We're talking millions of dollars of insurance costs, and you're having to pay out, which is not even close to the value of an actual life, family destroyed. So
Yeah.
so it seems like we're not just saving lives, we're also keeping the return on investment. Who are your primary clients? Is it more construction? It would seem like, subterranean logistics. Who are your primary buyers of these teleoperations?
The teleoperations are certainly have been big in the mining sector. That's where we're doing our largest experimenting and development. We have it deployed, but we are only deploying to certain key partners who can help us.
Where do your customers particularly come from? Is it from certain conventions or communities or some sort of marketing that you guys are doing?
Seeing the equipment is very important. So conventions will be at ConExpo. Our European partners also travel and do a lot of conventions. And then of course our strategic, partners, our dealerships showing the equipment and showing the abilities of that teleoperation.
Yes, in person, I'm sure it's powerful to see, self-driving, or not self-driving, remote controlled. How does that work actually? Is it like does a person see like from a camera? Do you use sensors, like sensor technology?
Yeah, no, all of what you said, including sound. We feel like sound is an important piece to that. Although you're driving alone in a mine, it might get creepy. So,
Exactly. It's a little dark,
um,
just other.
so sensors, lights, cameras, all of it with 3 or 4 monitors evaluating everything while you're driving. Of course, uniquely, you can then have the machine do work in one part of the world. The operator may then be able to move to a different part of the world and do work in a different machine and a different environment.
That's super cool. Super cool. I love it. Man, I'd love to see them in person. Honestly, sounds super, super cool. We've definitely heard of these like automated vehicles in mining facilities, but it's really interesting because I always assumed, that they're like crazy price or something like way higher,
Mhm.
but when we're thinking about in the long run, in the mining industry, we can be a little bit more in like the mindset of short term, looking for just the quickest return. And we sometimes forget about the long term. What has been the biggest mindset shift operators or leadership teams have had to make when adopting this type of equipment?
For our biggest challenge is with the operators, right? They are very used to what they've used for many, many years, but the idea that batteries won't last, that is a mindset shift. We find that when we put operators in our cabs, behind a machine, we have a great response, but they're always doubtful about the battery. Billions of dollars also going into the battery industry. We have batteries that run 10 plus hours. And if that's not enough, you can hot swap batteries, do a hot swap in 10 minutes. We've got companies that run 3 shifts, thousands of hours on our machines and batteries. And you can imagine the cost savings of running 3 shifts and not spending a dime on diesel. We talk often about the cost of our equipment, and people think, like you were saying, some people imagine 3 times the cost. We're not even close to that, but the return on investment is pretty rapid. You stop with maintenance and you stop with fuel. That changes things. We don't even factor in the downtime to maintain things. So once we have that conversation and start talking about the advantages, we can get through to a lot of operators and they'll open their minds up to what the abilities of the equipment are naturally. Just as everybody has, if you've ever been in an electric car, there is range anxiety. People with a cell
Yeah.
phone, that thing's getting down below 40%. People actually have a nervous anxiety.
Of
We're
course.
inherently built in to think that batteries are going to leave us high and dry. The fact is, our batteries can run shifts quite easily these days.
You sometimes meet those crazy people, that have like 5%, and they're like, no, no worries, I got some time left. Like, no, like gotta charge it, man. That
Right.
was something that I was curious about, and I think you definitely just answered the question about like when we're in remote areas, subterranean, mine, and even that mine is in a remote area. It's very limited resources. How does one assure, that the battery stays alive or it doesn't run out? You're saying that some people go through three shifts. Like a shift is like a whole battery pack.
A shift would be an 8 hour shift, not so much in remote areas all the time, right? Again, we tout that if there's no power on site, then you have to evaluate whether our machine is a better machine than a diesel machine. Of
Oh
course,
yeah.
if there's no power on site, you're also bringing diesel in, and you have to bring diesel trucks in to refill tanks, and tanks are dangerous and expensive as well to keep. There's challenges with that in the diesel world. We do have the ability to charge our equipment by solar, lots of different ways to charge the batteries. It all takes planning.
Oh yeah.
When we also talk about mining and other environments that are closed, though, there's so many factors, right?
We were saying that we're looking to expand, get to other demographics. How do you anticipate that First Green will achieve that? Keep doing conventions, or is there any other new territories that we're exploring?
As the word gets out about our equipment, we do have really interesting conversations with lots of different companies. One of the sectors we are expanding into is defense and military sectors. The equipment we have, again, if you could run it at a further distance away from maybe the front lines or keep people safer, our base of our technology can be expanded into so many different things, such as maybe transporter or landscape diagnostics. And we've already deployed demining machines inside Ukraine. So mining as in ground mines. So the operators are at a distance running it with a remote control. Demining machines are creating paths that are safe. Military in that defense sector has come up for us as an option.
But to get into like the military sector, do we have to be like some sort of like government entity, like a sam.gov type business, or are you able to be a vendor, to them from business to business?
Great question. Usually we have to have special access or certifications. Again, we mostly go through our dealerships. So when they get interesting calls about some of those things, that's when we jump on and help them to see if the equipment's going to be a right fit for them.
Oh, remind me again, these dealerships, you have them in the United States, right? Or is there multiple in the US?
Yeah.
Like,
So there's multiple in the US. If you are a heavy equipment dealer and you're interested in putting us up next to your diesel lineup, we want to talk. We don't have nearly enough dealerships yet, but we do have all our sales service and support in the US here in North Carolina, as well out of New York. We'll have a West Coast facility soon. So all your parts, sales, service, all that support will come here from the US.
since we're doing teleoperations, automation of certain processes, and keeping people safe, what is the talk around First Screen about how artificial intelligence can come into play with you guys? Is there a particular way that you guys are using it or would like to use it?
Absolutely. The amount of money going into AI is insane. And I think it's reasonable because there is so much development to be done so quickly. Our industry will absolutely be involved in AI. It needs to be. Oftentimes, the heavy equipment industry can be a step behind in technology. We do things repetitively. We do them well. I think on this one, there's going to be some real upsides if we can stay ahead of the game and be involved in the AI revolution. So the great thing about heavy equipment is it's everywhere in so many different types of work. Our operators, they are very innovative in the way they use equipment. We've all seen the memes of a forklift with a pallet on it holding a 30-foot extension ladder. Sometimes our innovation's not the best. We want to get the job done.
It seems like a
So
good idea in here, but then in person.
we have to be careful in our innovative mindsets sometimes. I think we see AI in grading and construction. We'll see it in mining. We'll see it in agriculture. There's going to be a lot of different ways we see it. And when we talk about teleoperation, I see AI in a mix with that. We need an operator to run into a pile of gravel and actually lift the bucket up, right? AI may not know exactly how much to get, where to get it in that pile of gravel because it's always changing. But then you send that skid steer back to your original point where you're going to dump it 200 yards away while you take advantage of that time to take the next skid steer, teleoperation and AI, right? It's got to go around obstacles, got to make sure nobody walks in front of it. Grading could be something because we're all using GPS. I think there's a lot of good that can come from that,
Absolutely.
as well as safety. Again, I go back to safety. Look at construction or heavy equipment injuries and deaths. It's every year, it's a terrible number.
It is.
We can definitely help in that. I think we're always going to need good labor. I think that's maybe too overhyped. I think our labor costs will at least stay steady where we're at. There's a lot of opportunity there. It's exciting.
Artificial intelligence and teleoperations, it's not here to take the jobs away. It's actually here to improve, and be like a tool that we use. I think it's genius that you're talking about almost like image recognition or like GIS like features where it can like analyze and scan the terrain and like make decisions based on that. Is that where you seem could be the highest benefit or the highest use of artificial intelligence, or do you believe also like in some sort of data or analytics or even like sales pipeline, like some sort of automation of processes?
Yeah, it's certainly internally inside the organizational structure. Every program we utilize has started to implement some AI features, insane ones that still blow your mind sometimes. So internally inside the organization, if our industry can see those as advantages, it would be great because we are in an industry that's very customer service oriented when we talk about dealerships. We have great connections with the community and we do things the way we've always done them in dealerships
Right.
occasionally. We have to think beyond that if we want to grow our businesses. It's very important to have relationships, very important to know your community, but it's also very important to stay on top of technology and keep moving forward.
We've definitely seen it. I love the product. I'm sure when I see it, I think it's going to be so nice. So, Marcus, if someone wanted to speak with you or see more of your product or get to know, what's a good way that they could find more information about First Green?
Thanks, Jorge. The website is first, the word FIRST dot green. No dot com, right? That's a big challenge we run into. First dot green.
Oh,
That's where you can
interesting.
see all our equipment, find all our contact information there. I'll say it's a fun website to go into because you'll get to see some things you really didn't expect to see. And then, of course, you get to find some use cases in there. We definitely are full contact. We take care of people.
And I saw it firsthand too, and that's interesting because the type of content that you create is one of my favorite type of content. It's like educative of your own products. Before we had even met, and it just completely caught the interest. Instantly. It was like, oh, fully electric mining vehicle or construction vehicles, and I was looking. I was like, I gotta ask him like how that works. And that's so it's intriguing. It's a really good website.
I just want to say, great questions. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
We're absolutely going to leave it in the comments down below. We're gonna make sure that the spelling is correctly, first dot green. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you all in the next time. We'll see you all.